See where I'm at. See where I gotta go. Okay. It's a pleasure to be before you again. You know what I thought? Today was Wednesday and tomorrow is Thursday. You ever had those moments where you lose track of time? Either you one day ahead or one day behind. And I discovered that when I heard someone mentioning something. It's like I woke up and I said, wow, today is Thursday and tomorrow is Friday. So it's a pleasure to be before you again today. I hope to conclude this series of messages. It should have been one, but like always, when I start off with one interesting thought, something that's a pop in my mind, and I end up doing, more, and it turned out to be okay. And everything has a reason. When I did this particular message, I'd call it deja vu because of certain events that I was seeing playing out in society, playing out in the world, playing out in this country, and it's like you lived it before, you experienced it before, you saw it in the past, and then I looked at it and recognized it. I said, wow. So it could be a deja vu moment for me, might be a deja vu moment for you, but it's an interesting topic. Let me welcome anyone. Type in the comment section. Oh, let me get that back. Now, so it's a pleasure to be before you. If you like what you heard, I ask you share it, make a comment, and allow other people to hear what you have heard. Part one, part two is very interesting, thought provoking, inspirational, and should be informative. All my messages are informative to educate, to inform you about things that you may not know, to encourage you to uplift your spirit because we're hearing a lot of negative news that's going on out here lately. So it's good to hear the positive aspects of the news. And my condolences go out to all of the parents, fathers, and mothers, police officers, white and black, everyone who have experienced a death in their family. My condolences to you, and my condolences to those fathers and mothers whose children have been shot by their own race. It's my prayer that they will be captured and brought to justice. And it will never be into shooting. It will never be into killing. It's just like the air you and I breathe and the blood that's run through our veins. But this uh, everyday killing needs to stop to a point. Someone I follow on Facebook experienced a death of what they call a student. As I listened, the video is not up now, but when I listened to her tears because the words that she shared was tears to me. I was moved, I was touched by what I heard. It really got to me. And the thought came to me, do we have to know someone before we cry or have compassion or feel sad about their loss? Or only we should only show that when it's somebody on our side of the coin. And then we can say, oh. And then I thought about it, and I was moved by what she had said, what she said. And it's not up anymore since the last time I checked, but it's a very powerful message. And a lot of things that she said that I have said in a lot of my videos posting, because she don't do that many posting. So it's my prayer go out to her that she be comforted in the name of the Lord, that God will comfort her and comfort the family with peace and understanding. And like she said, where is the outrage? Yes, they're outraged about the police department officers doing bad things against other individuals. I've seen videos where officers have done things that make you go like, what? And we see political leaders or those who they speak for me as a black man have gone out onto the public street and spoke against the behavior and violence of police officers, and that's well and good. But all lives matter. All Black Lives Matter. You can probably see this shirt. Say, Lives Matter. That phrase alone, when you say lives matter, I think Walmart took it out of the store. People take offense when you say lives matters, but I'm gonna throw a catch in it. You see the color of my skin? I'm black. So black lives matters, but it can be accepted. You can think I mean Black Lives Matter as it pertains to police related shootings and killings. No, all black lives matters. Yes, it can be offensive to some blacks when you say all lives matter or all black people lives matter. We've seen in the news and radios and talk shows everybody talking about Black Lives Matter as pertaining to uh, police shooting, and that's well and good. But all black lives matter. I watch television where the news person will ask the person, "Does Black Lives matter? All Black Lives matter?" Instead of them saying yes or no, just express their opinion. They go all around it without even answering the question. If you cannot look in the camera or talk to your friend and say all black lives matter, you have a problem. Does it matter when someone in your family or close friend or associate get killed? Black lives does not matter to those who do not obey the law. That's the truth. Black lives do not matter to those black individuals that have information to turn in the victim. I recall something on the news a few days ago where the young lady was in the back of the yard and someone chased, doing something and shot the girl in the back of the head. What if that was your child? They was pleading to the public, please come forward with the information. If it's your brother or your sister, your brother or your niece or your nephew, or someone related to you, please turn them in. But we know that there are individuals out there, so I'm not going to get involved with that. Leave it up to the police to get it to arrest that person. But if it happened to any one of our child, we'll want justice. We'll want protests on the street, not protests on the street as in violence and looting and stealing and setting things on fire, but a protest to say stop the violence against our own race of people. Like I said, it's always going to be crime. It's always going to be those types of violence out there. It's a given. The air that you breathe. The air that you breathe is not prejudice. If the air that you breathe is prejudice, then therefore you shouldn't be breathing it. We need to begin to wake up. So Black Lives Matter. And I mentioned this book that I wrote when I was a police officer and say, From the Eyes of a Cop, Black Lives Matter. Anthony Milton. Excuse me. When I wrote this book in 2012, it sat on my desk on my computer, and I didn't do nothing with it because I didn't want to be involved. I didn't have a megaphone. I wasn't an activist. I just sat on it. This was long before the Black Lives organization was founded, and it was founded in 2013. My book was written in 2012. The same title, From the Eyes of a Cop, Black Lives Matter. Me looking at it from a police perspective, from my eyes, that Black Lives Matter, all Black Lives Matter. It's not a book where it says them and us, and it's an informative, educational book that will cause you to go, I did not know that. So this particular book, before I finish, I will give you the link where you can go download it off of my website. Just look for scroll for the tab. It should be there. I'm in the process of updating my web channel to a different whole theme and concept. I'm gonna go back and do a lot of editing and re-editing because when I started that maybe 25 years ago, it was just I was just getting into it. I have not stayed on top of it, so it will be updated. I looked in the book and I look on the website and I see a few discrepancies, a few. I wonder how did I get there? A few typos, a few something should have been deleted. You may see a comma or whatever. But other than that, it's a very good book. My cousin, my I gave her this book and she went through it and she told me she highlights certain things in the book, but she saw, but she kept saying What I read in this book, I'm seeing it now in society. I'm seeing it on the streets. I'm hearing people talk about it. What you put in this book back in 2012 is actually being played out today. And I'm going to go through a few chapters. And when you go through the book yourself by going to the website and getting it, you're going to say the same thing. You would think that I wrote certain, you would think I wrote the book based on what I see today in the months, but I did not. So let me pick a few chapters. I got them in green. I'll do a synopsis on. We heard, we heard that police officers should shoot in the arm. One in this book said aim at center mass. We are told that people, police officers must shoot in the arm and legs and in places where it doesn't cause that much bodily harm. To those of you who do not know this, when you go to the gun range, you shoot at center mass from the chest because you're liable to hit something. They teach you that. They don't teach you to shoot in the arm and the leg because that moves out of the way, and whoever behind that arm and leg may get hit with a bullet. So they don't teach with shoot in the arm and the leg. You might, even when you go to a target range and you shoot in the arm and leg, those are accidental shots. That's all over the place. That means you're not aiming at center mass. So we hear people saying, "Oh, they should shoot in the arm and leg." So that's where this particular chapter coming from. Then I'll go say when I was a police officer, Black Lives Matter, the organization was not founded when I wrote this book. So prelude of Black Lives Matter organization, I was talking about Black Lives Matter from a whole different concept that every black person's life matters from my eyes. And that's why I wrote the book. And I sat on it for almost a year. When I was a police officer and worked undercover, I was in a patrol car responding to a domestic complaint. You know, we had just got these new cars with the automatic windows and away from the rolling type windows. And I went to a domestic complaint. As I approached the building, I saw a black male stoop down behind some hedges. As I got close to the building, he jumped up and pow! I heard a shot. And I turned my wheel to the left with the intention of rolling out the window and shooting back, but he kept coming, and all I could do is either lane to the left, and he took something he threw at the car. Later, when he threw it at the car, he kept running, and I opened up the driver's door, and it was a 22 revolver that he threw. He took off running. He got captured, brought back to the scene, asking, "Why did you shoot at me?" He said, "Because I thought you was white." That's the only thing white on me is my teeth in this car. I think he got 6 years because he was never in trouble before. Working undercover in a prostitution district, black female and I sitting in the front seat of the vehicle. She informed me of what it cost for what she wanted to do to me. I identified myself as a police officer. She reached in her pocketbook, pulled out a cake knife with the serrated edges, and we was fighting in the front seat of the car. Technically speaking, when she cut me on my finger, I could have shot her, but I didn't. I just struggled with her handcuff. You know, it wasn't nothing Monday morning. It was just my instinct to tell me what to do. So she was arrested. I remember doing the same thing. Me and a young lady, prostitute, was standing in the corner, and she said what she wanted to do, and I told her that she was under arrest. We start fighting. She started fighting me in the hallway on the front of this building, and I ended up arresting her. The only thing she was saying, "I'm a woman. I'm a woman. Why would you throw me down on the ground? Why would you do handcuff me?" Those incidents, Black Lives Matter, or the organization, or that type of pressure was not on my mind. It was protecting myself and protecting other person. So I experienced a lot of Black Lives Matter moments. Another one just came to mind when I was chasing someone in a police car, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was led. It was determined it was a stolen car. He crashed it, jumped out. We jump in backyard to backyard, fence over fence. You know, with all my police stuff on, not lighted, not lighted in certain areas. As we jumped across the last fence, he turned around and raised his hand at me, and the thought came to me, shoot in the ground. So I fired my weapon to the ground. He said, "Oh, whoa, you shot at me." And I caught him and I said, "Where's the gun?" He said, "I did not have a gun. I thought if I raised my hand, you would think I have a gun and you would stop chasing behind me." What if I had shot him? The news would have been in today's society right now would be police officer shoot unarmed man. That would be true that I shot an unarmed man. But they won't say that we was running in a dark lighted not dark area where not lighted and you raise your hand, you're gonna think the person have a gun because from the distance running, sweating, heart pounding, and someone raised their hand, the normal think they have a knife or they have a gun, and I could have been arrested and charged if the wind that we experienced in the day. Then you hear the one about they shoot the person in the back. You've seen a lot of TV shows. You see a lot of police type shows. You see, oh, police officer shoot so and so in the back. I'm not saying police officer don't shoot people in the back intentionally. I'm just want you to think. If even an average citizen, if two person is shooting each other face to face, they're gonna be ducking, moving out of the way from the bullets. So what if someone is shooting at you face forward and run away, turn around like this, and shoot at you, not aiming at you, but hoping to scare you? That gun is behind their back. You looking at their back and that gun. You fire your weapon at that person who's pointing his gun in this position, and he turns around. At the split second, as that bullet leaves the barrel, it hit the person in the back. So therefore, it said the police officer shoots the person in the back without the facts. That's what you're gonna hear in the news. Even with body cameras and all this kind of stuff, people will say, it was uh, a bad shoot, or it ought not to happen. So that's a few chapters in the book. And then the other one, let me see, Escape. Let's see what is that. Let's see, I got it. Ames, I said that one. Probably got ahead of myself. I just highlighted. Let me see what I got. What is a police officer supposed to do? What is a police officer supposed to do when he responds to a call? Someone asked me, say, Anthony, do you get afraid when you go on calls? At times, but I don't think about it. You're in the car, you get a call to respond wherever. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what's in front of you, what you're gonna meet. What is a police officer supposed to do if he's confronted with someone with a knife or bat? Should he just turn and run away and say, "Oh, this is too much for me"? Then why did he respond? What is the officer supposed to do? You hear a lot of Monday morning quarterback what this officer should have done. But when someone is shooting at you, when you're fighting, when your life is in danger, then you can ask, answer that question. But if you've never been put in that position, then you ought to ask yourself. And the thought came to me about this one. We know that a lot of chokeholds ought not to be done. But I'm going to throw this one at you. Have you ever been in a fight? Have you ever been in wrestling? The neck follow the body. Have you ever been in a fight and watched people fighting? Where do they grab? Instantly they grab for a chokehold, grab the neck, push the person down. It's an automatic, natural response. We all have that instinct. If someone jump on you right now, if someone attack you from behind, they're gonna grab you by your neck. If someone is grabbing you or want to attack you, you're gonna grab them by their neck and try to choke them out or pull them down to the ground. You may throw them down with you may grab their chest, you may kick their legs from under them, but you're gonna try to hold the neck down because that when the head is against something hard, it's hard for the body to move. It's like the blood in your vein, the air that you breathe. We have no control of the blood in our vein. We have no control of the air that we breathe. We have no control. Yes, we can be trained. Yes, we can take sensitivity class and all that kind of stuff. But the natural instinct, if you have been in a fight, been in a wrestling, kidding around and playing around and seeing kids play with each other or see it on TV, it's an automatic natural response that people go into. So to outlaw that is to say, yes, it should be outlawed in certain instances where it's fragrantly, deliberately used, but it's a natural instinct that kicks in. And when people say they should be punished, then the question that I will ask you, what would you do if someone jumped on you and attacked you? Are you going to walk off? Are you going to walk off? Another chapter is put yourself in my shoes. Put yourself in my shoes. When I has stopped a car on the street, the person may have committed a crime that I don't even know nothing about. He may have a warrant on his. And I stopped the car. He stopped yelling, cussing, doing all kind of stuff. And he pull out a weapon, catch me off guard. And I run back to the car. We see videos of this stuff on TV. And I responded. So what is the officer supposed to do? What is the officer supposed to do? It is, I heard on the news, this is a chapter in the book. This world is not a utopia. Those of us who are old enough have seen the show Barney Mayberry RFD, Barney Fife, where he had the bullet in his pocket and the sheriff doesn't carry a gun. And someone said, we need a Barney and an Andy patrolling the streets. Oh, really? Oh, really? So you telling me all the laws that are being passed against law-abiding citizens, the laws are passed against law-abiding citizens. Criminals do not obey the law. Criminals are going to have their gun. If you take all the guns from law-abiding citizens, the criminal going to still have a weapon. So when a criminal come to your house and your gun been taken up and you have given your gun because you want to be PC correct, how are you going to defend yourself? You have no weapon. So we live in a world. So when a police officer responds to a call involving uh, automatic weapons and gunfire and shotguns and people shooting up the neighborhood, and you say that the police officer should not have a gun, then the thought should be, why bother dialing 911? Why should the police respond to your neighborhood with no weapon? What you gonna say? Oh, the police officer should have a weapon, but you cried that they should not have their weapon. Oh, well, I didn't know it would have got to that. I didn't know. Oh, the criminal gonna say, oh, there are states right now require police officers to fill out a form after they pull their weapon. They must show why they pull their weapon. You think the bad guy does not know that? So when the bad guy stops the police officer, depending on what city he lives in, oh, they got a law that this police officer cannot pull his weapon without giving his boss a reason. So when that officer is thinking that in the back of his mind, the bad guy gonna pull out his gun and shoot quick first, while the officer sitting there thinking, should I or should I not? So put yourself in the officer's shoes. Monday morning quarterback doesn't get us nowhere. What is all supposed to do? When he responds to calls, woman being raped, your child being raped, your child being killed, all kind of bad stuff where people got knives and guns in the community. Oh, this thing now, let's defund the police. Let's get rid of the police. Let's not have police. Let's have our own police force in the community. Oh, really? You're going to have citizen patrolling the community. The natural instinct kicks in of oppression. The natural instinct to kick in is control, power, or bribery, payback, protection money. You think that going to not be prevalent if you have a group of citizens, non-professional, come to your house investigating your non-crime of rape and whatever? Are they going to show the same compassion? Are they going to write the report? Are they going to say, oh, I'm not even going to answer that call? So it sounds good on paper. It sounds good to pacify people, but who it going to affect? It's going to affect those who live in the community as blacks. They have less police officer call. I did a message type 911. What is your emergency? 911. What is your emergency? Then I heard a political advertising say 911. The number you call is no longer in service. If you hear the report of rape, hit 1. Burger, hit 2. So and so hit 3. So and so 4. Then 5. We will respond to your calls in 5 days. You may laugh, but what if you pick up the phone? We pick up the phone right now and get what? Automatic answer machines and can't talk to a person. So do you want that calling the police department under the theory of we want police officers that don't have weapons? They don't need this weapon to protect themselves. The bad guy got all kinds of weapons and he has a little gun on his side. It doesn't make sense. So those who are for that has a different agenda. It's going to hurt the black race. But guess what? Those who say they speak for us is not speaking against none of this stuff. So we do not live in a world, we do not live in a utopia world. Then I have Escape from the Plantation of Lies. That's a book that I wrote. Escape from the Plantation benefits me. But escape from the plantation of lies. Escape from the lies. Begin to do your homework and research and say, what is that true? Escape from the plantation of the lies that you're being told. And what's going to happen when you escape from the plantation of lies? After hearing it, you're going to be attacked verbally, accusing you of something, and you may run back and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to escape from your plantation. You was right," because it feeds you a little bit of lie and a little bit of truth. A little bit of truth and a little bit of lie mixed together and make you feel good because it does not uh, make you feel good. So in this book, we know from watching the news, those of you who follow the news, we have majority of the Black Lives protesters are black. Kind of think about it. Make you think. And then some are black. There are other races in the midst of the Black Lives Matter protests, and that's fine. We see the Antifa group, those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, all these individuals, black or white, decked down in black clothing with their face covered up, and you can't see them wearing masks, hood, and whatever, all in the midst of the black protest rallies. We know that some come, it's been said from the news I've heard, some are being bused in to cause problems and blame it on black individuals and vice versa. And that's true. And then people, then the Black Lives protesters and those who were part of that movement, those who were part of the protest, will welcome that group in. That's their choice. But then what would happen if the Ku Klux Klan, wearing their white hoods, come to a Black Lives Matter protest? What will happen? We welcome you, Mr. KKK. You can be on our side. We're going to burn down the store. We're going to loot the store. We're going to steal shoes, cigarettes, whatever, because we are being oppressed by the white man. Is that really going to happen? No, 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 brothers and sisters. There's going to be violence against that particular group. So in this particular chapter I got, explain to me the difference between the KKK and Antifa. Are they not doing the same thing according to history? I've seen news where people have gone in protest areas and you see pallets of bricks stacked up. Who put it there? And the bricks are being used to damage and hit and injure people. Do we know the history behind the movement of the KKK? They was formed to kill and injure blacks and whites because they was voting Republican. It was a Democratic arm of the Democrats. It still is today. Do your own homework. In this particular book, I will point it out that you yourself can go on any governmental website and see the laws that have been written that's still on the book. We may not abide by them, but it's still on the book. So when we are told that it's that political party or that political party, before you believe and accept that as being the truth, do your own homework. Then you won't be easily taken advantage of. So that's a particular chapter where I explain, show me what is the difference between the two. KKK have the white outfit, hooded all over the place. I saw a couple of videos where photo images where people would dress up and KKK masks is going and shopping in the store with just the hood on, and I guess they form a mask that'll uh, 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 be funny. And then I got a chapter say we as a race of people, we as a race of people need to educate ourselves about our history and refuse to accept what we are being said, what being said. We must do our own research and be willing to change our thinking, change our minds when we do our own research. Don't let anyone teach you something. If they're teaching you something, that's fine, but make sure that what they're teaching is correct. If I come to you and say drink from this glass because it's going to make you feel good, you need to think about it because it might be poison in the glass. History have proven that. Do our own homework. Do our own homework. And then you see, I got in the back historical facts that you need see, it's a mistypo there. I need to change that. I don't know how that got through. It got NED. So when you go through this book, don't jump on, oh, he made a lot of mistakes. And I just admit there's mistakes. I don't know how I checked it, but it just got through. And I'm apologizing for it, but it will make the correction in the future. It's the historical facts that you need to know it got that should be not that are not taught in public school. MLK Day. Reading some. On September 28, 1868, the Marlboro Democrat massacred 300 African American. A Marlboro Democrat massacred nearly 300 African American Republicans. This was in Louisiana. The savagery began when the racist Democrat attacked a newspaper editor. Then in April 1871, at the urging of President Ulysses S. Grant, he passed the KKK Act. It was known as the Third Enforcement Act. It was controversial, but it was passed. It established a form of penalties and jail time. It gave the president authority. The Republican led the change to civil rights and the women's rights. September 22, 1862, Abraham issued a Emancipation Proclamation. In 1864, Susan B. Anthony Elizabeth delivered over 1,000 signatures to the United States Senate supporting Republican plan for a constitution ban on slavery. Republican Congress voted equal pay for African American troops in 1864. In 1865, the 13th Amendment banned slavery in the United States Senate. 100% of Republicans reported, 37% was against it. June 19th, 1865, on Juneteenth, the United States troops landed in Galveston, Texas to enforce a ban on slavery that had been declared more than 2 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. In 1865, the Republican denounced Democrat legislators in Mississippi enacting Black Code, which institutionalized racial discrimination. In 1866, the Republican Party passed the Civil Rights Act of 1866 to protect the right of newly freed slaves. 1866, the United States Senate, Republican 14th Amendment guaranteed due process, equal protection of the law of all citizens. 95% of Republicans voted for it. 100% of Republican, 94% of Republicans voted yes, and 100% of Democrats voted no against this particular amendment. And then it goes on. This is in the back of the book, giving you factual information. Where did I get this from? By simply doing my research. The Democrats would not pass the Civil Rights Act. Let's see what else. And I got another timeline of civil rights in America. In 1854, the Republican Party was formed to stop the spread of slavery. The Democrat Party decided pro-slavery. In 1854, Democrat President Franklin signed Democrat Kansas-Nebraska Act expanding slavery into United States territory. Opponents was the Republican Party. See something else. Republican Party, Congress voted for equal pay. I mentioned that. Democrat Party continued to support slavery. The 13th Amendment, 100% Republican, 23 against. So this is the last chapter in the book, where it has factual information that you and I can educate ourselves. And why I say the book You would think I wrote it for today. I wrote it a month ago. I didn't. What you just heard was written in 2012. My concern that Black Lives Matter, all of Black Lives Matter, the good and the bad, pointing out the good and the bad behavior. You pick up the book like my aunt did. She recognized that, hey, Anthony, what you have wrote in this book is actually being played out on the streets and from the mouths of people today. When I wrote it back then, I thought it was for that time, but it was not for that time and era of 2012. Black Lives Matter was from my mouth, from the eyes of a cop in 2012. Then the organization was founded in 2013. Then you read the book that I put together and see a correlations of events that's being played out, that have been played out on the streets in the United States of America. So did I write a book from the future that's being played? Who knows? Then you can go to my my blog, my website. My website is he still speaks now listen.org. Everything is lowercase, everything is one word. HeStillSpeaksNowListen.org. Again, he still speaks now listen.org. When you go there, you're going to open up, just go across the toolbar, and you should see, let me make sure, you should see, let me see what's that. Make sure I bring it up. He still speaks now listen.org. When you hit that link, you're going to open up to my page. You're going to see on the back, on the right hand side, on your right, when you're looking at your computer, you're going to see BLM. Click on that, and you're going to see the whole book that's written down. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. That's a quote. You're going to see chapters, stay street sane for the police. I'm not part of the good old boys club. It's not about race. You are not white. I was told that when I went to a person's house, a black female house. She told me that she did not want me to come to her door, open the door, did not want to invite me in, because she said being a black police officer, I would not do what needed to be done, and she want a white police officer. I informed her that we don't respond to calls based on race, because I'm working in this area and this is my jurisdiction, and if she hang up, when a call back, you're not going to get a white officer specifically. She was displeased with the previous officer who was black that didn't do their job, and I said, let me treat it as me. Nothing I could say to convince her to let me handle the call. So she said, you know, you're not white, get away from my door. So I mentioned if someone fired me, she cuts me. But what would happen if I had to fire my weapon? That was the chase. Someone gave me this message. Young lady was saying, where is the father? Take responsibility for your action. When we, as police officers, stop a person on the street, who control the situation? Both persons, the officer and the person who's being stopped. And they go hand to hand. If the person is stopped, do something that he or she not do, then the officer gonna respond in a different way. We must accept the facts over our commotions. We must accept the news media will look the other way and give us a totally different viewpoint. Who is telling the truth? Put yourself in my shoes. I mentioned there's a spiritual law that we will. I like that because I gave my own warning that you have the right. You have the right to judge yourself. Black and proud for what? Black and proud for what? Yeah, I'm black. And then one chapter is Black Lives Matter within the book. Then I got Wake Up, Escape from the Plantation, Black Lives Matter when? Acting white. People say, oh, you acting white, you talking white, you behaving white. You not one of us, you're not down for the struggle. You one of them, you Uncle Tom, you sell out. Then I say, do your own homework. Then I mentioned in Chicago, I forgot about that. I even copy a lot of copy and pasting in this book. And I gave the 3,000 names and the individual that was shot and where they were shot and how they were shot. Even today, Baltimore, Chicago, and Philadelphia are experiencing all types of crime. But do we hear from the mouths of those who say they speak for us, speaking against speaking against what's going on? Are they protesting and saying stop the violence? Or are they just waiting for the next police officer? You can bet if there's another police officer shooting on the streets in America, you can bet that those who say they speak for us will rush to that area. But yet, young girls, 10, 11, 13, 14, boys and young men are killed by the hands of a black individual and they are quiet because it doesn't benefit them. It doesn't benefit their cause. It doesn't give them any money. It keeps them in power. Because if they was going out there complaining about we need to stop as a black race shooting and hurting our people, they will be out of power. They won't have nothing to use. And they won't. Yes, there are a few black women that I have followed and still do that's out there speaking the truth, but they're called Uncle Tom, a sellout, not one of us, all kinds of names. Why is it that we, as a black race, when we see other black individuals, male or female, speaking the truth about what's going on, we call them a sellout or Uncle Coom or Oreo and all this kind of stuff? Because they're simply saying, I want, think about it. If you and I were living back in slavery days, that the slave was being oppressed and raped and sodomized and God knows what they went through, do you think if you could go back in time right now in your state of mind and they capture you, what could you do? Because the laws that we have today would not be back in them. So to take a law that we apply to us today, it would not be have no use back in the 16, 17, 800. They did not have cell phones and iPads and all the stuff that we have right now in the 20th century back in the 16 and 1700s. They didn't even have a computer, a newspaper, or internet back in the 16 and 1700s. So to have them thinking that we can go back in the past and you erase the past and do things with the past because what we know now, they did not have what we have. It doesn't fit. It may make us feel good, but it doesn't solve the problem. So if you are captured today and sent back in time, you won't be able to do nothing. You won't be able to say, oh, apologize because you're white. Oh, I hate, I just uploaded on Facebook, I apologize for me being black. Because you got a lot of people going around saying, well, I apologize for my white uh, uh, privilege or I apologize for being white. Who created you? Who created me being the color that I am? You may not like being black. You may not like being your race or your sex, but you had no control over your parents and their parents in generation and generation. So who should we be complaining to? Should we complain to the creator who created us? Oh, that's silly. What if he's okay? They're not happy being a woman. They're not happy being a male. They're not happy being a black. They're not happy being a Chinese. They're not happy, 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 happy. Well, guess what? They're not going to breathe in the next 5 minutes. You drop dead. That's how thinking we need to begin to think. It sounds good and make us feel good, but where? So I wrote down some causes. The church is not teaching and ministering and educating the people on what they need to do. You can get a house, you get a car, you get money, you get a husband, get interest on whatever, whatever, and they're not really teaching the truth because they don't want to offend the people because the people are going to run off and go in another direction, and they don't want to offend their members because some of the members might be out there gangbanging, selling dope, and whatever. Then you have a single parenting home. I was raised in a single parent home a certain part of my life. Nothing against that. Then you have a lack of morale. High school dropout. People don't want to go back to school because of pride. They don't want to be shamed. No God morals in their life. Their conscience is dead. They have no existence of right and wrong. It's what they think right is today. They have no awareness of God in their lives, and a lack of education in the schools that not being taught. I mentioned in the last message, I introduced that before President Barack Obama was president of the United States, before the president of the United States, before the United States Constitution became into existence, there was such a thing called Article of Federation. A black man was elected to be the president, the first one out of 8 to be in charge of the Article of Confederation back then, and then we have moved on to the Constitution. So America being a racist country, as we have been told, why would these white individuals select a black man to be, you know, the first president of the Article of Confederation, and then also put his face on a $2 bill, which you can Google and find it yourself. Those kind of stuff is out there. Lack of education. Then the government has become the father of the children. The government has said, "I'm your father now, baby. You're going to do what I say. If you violate my law, you're going to lose this income. You're going to lose the check. You're going to lose the money. You're going to lose the benefits. You're going to lose everything it is." So by staying, nothing against women, we was raised on food stamp. I remember back in the day, food stamp was, you got little dollar bill, 1, 5, and 20 was little books of, we call them books of stamps before they went to the card, for those who do not know that. So yes, there are a lot of family members have used, been on welfare to help them. Nothing against that. Don't take me wrong. We was raised on it also. But the government, the system is designed to destroy the black family. You don't believe me? Do your homework. So it's a spiritual problem. God is not in the picture. What is my solution? Education. We must have a spiritual awakening. The morality must return. We must have a new mindset, and we must have God in our lives. There must be a turnaround. I mentioned, and I close by saying this. I mentioned, I think it's on part 1 or part 2, I told you that awakening will come in the black race. Not an awakening where you riot and steal and loot and set things on fire and I want payback, but an awakening that will cause black individuals to begin to wake up. Those who they're awake, they can hear, but they're not hearing what they need to hear. They're not seeing what they need to see because they have been blind, they have been seduced, the wool have been pulled over their eyes. They're in a state where it's like the grandmama told to tell her daughter, say he's not good for you, and she said, "Oh, but I love him. He cares a great deal for me." And then when he hurt her, she began to wake up and say, "How did I miss that?" Because her mind was locked in on one thing. So there's a spiritual awakening coming in the midst of the black race. I'm saying it right now so you can say, well, Anthony said it on July the 8th, I'm sorry, July the 9th, because Anthony said in his book, From the Eyes of a Cop, in 2012, that Black Lives Matters to him as a police officer, and it should matter to all blacks back then. So he put this book together, and he sat on it and didn't do nothing with it. And then the foundation, the creation of Black Lives Matter organization came into existence in 2013. Read the book, study the book, go over the book, and you shall see a parallel in what's going on today that's in this book. Simply, you're not asking for a charge. It is free. This book is free. Yes, it's on Amazon. If you want a copy of it, you want me to sign, I'll sign it, bring it to you, or mail it to you. But it's free. I'm not asking. If you want to donate anything, I have a donate button on my page. You can donate whatever you want, a dollar, a penny, a nickel, whatever. But it's free. Free. Because I want the message out there. So last night, this morning I woke up, I had a dream that ties into this message. I was at a Bible conference, sitting on the right side. That the organizer were expecting 1,000 people, but only 100 people showed up. And I'm sorry, 500 people showed up. A young lady that was, I guess she was the headliner, not the headliner, announcer, knew of me, and she looked over to my right, and she began to say, "We need to listen to this person," which was me, because he had something that we need to hear. Because the people in the conference recognized that they was not preaching the right message. So the man said, come on up, brother, and tell us what the Lord has tell you. So I said, he still speaks now, listen. That is my website. He still speaks now, listen.org. God is always speaking to us. We just not listening. And the reason why we won't listen, because he's not saying anything that we want to hear. We want to hear what we want to hear. We want to hear from him the things that we're doing, but we don't want to hear what we need to stop doing. So we don't want to listen. But I'll tell you this, there is a spiritual awakening coming in the midst of the black race. When? 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years, I don't know. It may come 2 months from now. But there will be a spiritual awakening. Will be a spiritual awakening. And that was my dream. So it's my hope that this series of messages will come across your path, that you will be inspired because you heard it and you welcome it, that you share it with people. You can go to my YouTube channel, The Hidden Tears of a Black Male. You can hit the subscribe button. Look at the videos that I have made. And I promise you that you will see a video that you like. All my videos not condemning or judging. I use myself as an example. All my videos is to inform, to educate, to give you information that you may not heard of. It might give you information that you say, wow, I think the same thing. You may find videos that I put out there that goes into your belief and your thought, but you was afraid to say it. So share with other people. Comment, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So it's my prayer and my hope that what you heard would encourage you for such a time as this. It looked bad on the surface, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel that things will be good. We live in the moment of the coronavirus. This, corona, that. Everything has a hidden message. Begin, begin to look beyond. When you take your mind off of self and begin to look beyond self, you will find the answer that you're seeking. So again, thank you for joining me tonight. I'll be back, Lord willing, with another topic. I will begin to do, I'll put an intro on Facebook, and I'll go to my YouTube channel and broadcast from there. Because when I do stuff on Facebook, I have to download it off of Facebook and then upload it to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to make it very simple by notifying you all on Facebook. And those who are interested will go to YouTube and hear what I have to say. And those who not won't even bother to go. But at least I will continue doing what I'm doing. So thank you. Let me see if anything else I missed. Nope, I said everything. The book is free, 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 free indeed. Get it, go through it. My web channel is being upgraded. I will go through the book again, make the correction, make the error that I see in this book, and make sure it's not on the website. You have my permission to use it. You have my permission to talk about it. You have my permission not to recopy it, but if you make reference to it, if you share with other people, tell them where you got it from, or send them to my channel and let them download it for themselves. And share the word. You'll be blessed. This book have answers that you may have never thought of. It does. I thought about it this morning. This book have answers to why we're experiencing the things that we're experiencing, why things happening now, and it has a final outcome, what we need to do. So it's all about educating, educating, educating. Thank you again.